Gregg O'Neill is the Chief Revenue Officer at PACT, a company specializing in purpose-driven technology solutions. With over 25 years of experience in the loyalty marketing services space, Gregg is leading growth strategies, delivering results for clients, and building sales teams. His expertise includes ESG, giving strategies, payment solutions, consumer and brand engagement strategies, and business development, among other things.
Hello, FinTech builders and leaders. Today, we're having the new episode of our podcast, The Guts, Grit, and the FinTech. So this is the show for strong-minded entrepreneurs who are not afraid to transform the financial industry, who are not afraid to take the risk, get the rewards, and build a brighter financial future for people. And I'm Vasil Solashuk from INSART, your FinTech engineering partner. And ladies and gentlemen, let's join me in welcoming Gregg O'Neill. Gregg, hello.
Hello,
Welcome
Vasil.
to our podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here today.
So Gregg is 25 years loyalty marketing veteran, and he is a chief revenue officer at Impact. And he literally invented the new subdomain of FinTech, and I will call it Purpose Tech. And Purpose Tech is all about purpose-driven technology of giving, and Gregg is leading marketing revolution, connecting brands, customers, and nonprofits.
Well said, Vasil. Thank you.
Yeah, so actually to kick off our conversation, I have the following question. So where do you draw the line between ethical persuasion and manipulation in loyalty-driven marketing without exploiting behavioral psychology? So what do you think on this topic?
Wow, that's a really interesting question. You know, I think it's all driven by, not I think, but I really believe that it's driven by what consumers want to see from the brands, the banks that they are associating with. And really today's consumer, particularly the younger consumers, they really want to be associated with brands that share the same purpose, cause, values that they do. So, you know, the consumer is really driving this. They want to be associating themselves with really, you know, ethical, purpose-driven brands that share those same, you know, what we would call cause and mission values. So it really is not manipulation so much as it is really sort of a joining of, you know, like types of, you know, personas and causes that really mean something to the brand, to the bank, as well as the consumer.
So when we first met with you, we discussed the technology of giving. And my question actually is, how does this technology of giving allow to donate the loyalty currency?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, and what's really fascinating, and this is why Impact, you know, got into this business of providing technology, is that, you know, it really isn't out there, it really isn't available today in a way that makes it easy for the consumer to make a donation. So, what a lot of companies will do is to have sort of what we would call you know, a quasi donation charity component, but it's really to a one charity that might not have any meaning to the individual consumer. So what our technology allows a brand to do is to what we call democratize giving, and it's giving the choice to the consumer to really donate to a cause, donate to a nonprofit that's important to them. So the first thing that we do is we present a number of cause areas and a number of charities, nonprofit organizations that a brand can present to its customer base. And then what we do is we allow we allow the consumer to sit there and say, hey, I want to donate to a nonprofit that's in my community. I want to donate now, and I want to donate this amount of money. So by democratizing giving, what we're allowing these brands to do is to say to the customer, hey, you choose the nonprofit, you choose when you want to donate, and you choose how much. So our technology does two things. It integrates into a loyalty point bank. It integrates into a bank's digital banking platform. And it also gives access to 1.8 million nonprofits that a consumer can choose to donate to.
So, speaking about the user experience while donating, uh, so why adding the donation feature in loyalty programs actually enhance user experience? So, because from the other hand, it could potentially hinder the transparency, preventing, informed choices of contributions. And yeah, so my question: so why do you think it's actually enhanced the user experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one of the things, you just touched on is this whole idea and concept of transparency. So you're going to take this
Mhm.
loyalty currency, whether it's points, some sort of different, denomination, or, even if it's just cash back, which it is in a lot of loyalty programs, you know, today's consumer, they know what the value of the loyalty currency is. So that whole idea of transparency, really is one that's important. Your consumers, your customers, they know the value of the currency that you're presenting to them. So allowing them to translate that, convert it from points, stars, whatever, into dollars that are able to donate. It just makes sense, and it's an easy thing that we can provide, and it's important to consumers. They want to know that if they're donating 10,000 points, that translates into $10 that's going to go to the nonprofit of their choice.
All right, and another question is about the actually local communities. I have seen the concept that the brands who want to improve their image in the local communities, they should actually suggest their customers to donate into the local programs, into the local charity programs. And my question here is actually: so, do brands engaging in local community donations primarily seek for this, let's say, positive publicity, or can any form of corporate giving, even if driven by like self-interest, contribute positively to the local communities?
Yeah, that's a great question. And part of our technology, and we would say the biggest, I would say, uptick in what the brands that we associate with and we're working with and partnered with have really taken to is presenting local nonprofits to the customers in the communities that these brands are serving. And there's a real business reason behind why it's important. There was a study done, and it's actually done every year by a philanthropy PR firm called Cohn Porter and Novelli. And what they found in their survey back in 2021 was that today's consumer, 67%, prefer to donate to a local nonprofit, a charity that's in their community, in their neighborhoods, versus a large national nonprofit. Now, by the way, nothing wrong with donating to these large national charities. But as I said, 67% of consumers prefer to donate in their communities. And when they do, Vassal, what's really fascinating, when they donate locally, they will donate 3 times as much to a local nonprofit as they would to a national nonprofit. So that's a really important element to consider. The other really important area for these brands, for these banks, it is that, particularly with the whole idea of online relationships where you may not have a brick and mortar facility in the communities that you serve, by being present, by allowing donations in local communities, you, the brand, you, the bank, become the generous citizen now in your customers' communities. So that's another really important element of local charity donations, and allowing that capability for your customers to take advantage of.
But have you seen any preference for the brands, like actually supporting some global issues or addressing unique local needs? So, are there any studies, any data that actually proves any of these statements?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. So when you look at the nonprofits, and part of our technology, what we do is we provide access to 1.8 million nonprofits through what's called the GuideStar database. And what we are able to do, what GuideStar is able to do, is to take these 1.8 million nonprofits and break it down into 16 major cause areas. And so, to answer your question, a lot of these cause areas are global: environmental, youth services, social justice. And, you can look at those and you can support these global causes. And, it really becomes what we would call event based. And, as an organization, being nimble and supporting causes as needs arrive. So you can think about the Ukraine situation and being able to support nonprofits there. Tremendous support in North America for those causes that are helping out in the Ukraine. When there's environmental disasters, the amount of support and donations that brands are able to drive can be really significant and impactful. So to answer your question, yes, there's a lot of support, and there's a lot of value to supporting these global issues as they occur.
So the another angle here is actually supporting well-established large-scale nonprofits, and also selecting comparing to like smaller, more agile nonprofit initiatives when you actually select the cause to support. And you mentioned that you have the database of 1.8 million of different nonprofits. So, have you seen any statistics of what nonprofits actually have more success, rather more like well-established, large-scale nonprofits, or like some brands should focus actually on this, let's say, like agile grassroots initiatives?
Yeah, that's a really it's a really interesting question, Vassal, because a lot of times, as I mentioned, it's going to be related to what we would call certain events. So just to answer the first part of the question, the nonprofits that tend to get the most support, here in the United States, and I'm sure it's the same around the world, it tends to be focused on what we would call local community, church-based, school-based types of activities. So those are always the largest. Now, those are very, very small local types of organizations. Where you get the most support, what we would call the most support, from large organizations. Number one would be around youth services, and I say global, youth services organizations like Save the Children, those types of things. That's number one for large scale nonprofits that are global. Second biggest area that we see, again, global nonprofits, would be in the environment, which I don't think is a surprise to anyone. So environmental causes, water.org, Save the Ocean, those types of organizations get a lot of support globally. And then I would say, the The next, biggest area after that would be social justice causes, around the world. So again, when you're looking into these local versus large global nonprofits, it's really going to be based on what's happening out there in the world today, because the consumer tends to be really driven by what they're seeing out there in the media. And again, I think we talked about this in one of our previous conversations. When the Ukraine war started, it was amazing how much support we were able to get and drive, and donations we were able to drive, because of all of the attention that was getting. Again, when there's environmental disasters, the uptick in donations to those nonprofits takes. So what we're seeing is that when there's kind of what we would call a slow, event news type of timing, people tend to go back to taking care of and donating in their local community. So again, it's something as a brand you have to be on top of and aware of, and making what we would call real-time decisions to really keeping your charitable donation program fresh.
Yeah, so to me, it looks like when you donate to some big non-profit organization, it looks like you're not seeing the real impact that your donation can do, because this is, the cause is can be so broad, the organization can be so big, so and to me, some of the like big non-profits, they are starting to be more like a bureaucratic organizations rather than organizations that actually support a specific cause and actually making the impact. From the other hand, when you deal with smaller organization, you can see the impact, like the direct impact that they are actually doing. Um, and for example, you mentioned Ukraine, and we all there is well-known organization which is a Red Cross, and there were some allegations, for example, supporting the Russian Russian army, and not following, not following the rules, and to me it was a really like big surprise. And you can't control your donation when you do when you actually contribute to such a big organization. From the other hand, when you support some specific volunteers that I personally know, for example, who are in charge of smaller non-profit, but I definitely know how they spend the money, and this is more transparent to myself. So that's why I'm very cautious regarding like a very big non-profits. So, however, there are like big causes that couldn't be supported by like just small organizations. So what's your take on this? How to you know how to make sure that these big nonprofits are transparent and your money are really spent to the real cause, but not just wasted because of the big bureaucratic mechanism of this nonprofit organization.
Vassal, that's a really interesting, question and a conundrum, because you really have to be on top of what's going on within any given nonprofit at any given time. And by the way, all nonprofits, mean to do well. And I know the Red Cross got into a tough spot. So part of the services that we provide, and a brand, that's offering nonprofit, charitable donation capabilities, has to be aware of is, are we presenting the right nonprofits that are going to be reputationally appropriate to our brand at this point in time? So a big part of what we provide, services that we provide, is what we call nonprofit vetting, where we do research, and it's ongoing research, real-time research, to make sure that the nonprofits that you as an organization are presenting to your customers in the public domain are in good standing, are reputationally appropriate. We call this risk mitigation, where you don't want to have these, as you just pointed out, potential backfiring, of these, charitable
Mhm.
donation capabilities. The bigger organizations, they can get themselves, in a tough situation sometimes, but smaller organizations will have, some similar types of issues as well. So, part of what we provide is a service that makes sure that the nonprofits, charities that you're presenting are going to be, as I mentioned, reputationally appropriate. But it's a really important consideration for a brand to take into account before they present nonprofits on their behalf.
So, as I understand, Impact provides not only the possibility for the consumers, but also for the employees to take part in the corporate loyalty programs. Is it correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Here also another topic related to uh, you know when you're employee of some organization and you have your own preferences to which nonprofits to donate, on what causes to donate, and the company that you work for, they could have some other views here. So how to actually uh, improve this engagement of employees if you want to build a real charity program internally in your company, in your corporation. So, how to actually improve the engagement of your employees and align the causes that your company supports with the causes that your employees support?
Yeah, well, it's what's amazing is in today's employment situation, 80% of employees, one of the first things they look at when they're thinking of joining a corporation is, what kind of company are you? What are the values that you stand for? What's the mission of the organization? And is it important? Is it meaningful and relevant to me as a potential employee? So, there's a lot of different words and what we call alphabet soup out there today between ESG and DEI and all of these things. But, at the end of the day, an individual, a potential employee wants to make sure that the company they are joining, is a good company that cares about, the not just the employees, but the world in general, and also allows me as an employee to donate to the causes that, I feel really attached to. And more importantly, they support me. So a big part of what we're seeing is that these brands using our technology are basically doing this on a consistent basis, allowing their employees to donate literally every day if they want to. So it's not something they do once a year. It's being, a good, generous employer all year long, supporting your employees. And then, in many cases, that I would say in all of the cases, the companies that we support, they're doing matching campaigns. So they're allowing their employees to donate, and they'll support those donations, and or they'll just give their employees funds and say, "Hey, here's $100, Vassal. Make a donation on your behalf, but we're giving you the money." So, and again, it's really important, and they're also giving their customers the choice of what nonprofits they want to support.
Yeah. Another question on this social responsibility is actually how to build the really efficient program and not to get into this, like the trap that you are doing this only to improve your public image. So, what's your take on this? How to be really aligned with your values and show that this is a real social responsibility program, not just some PR activities that you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's the really interesting, what I'm going to say paradox, here, because you want to be authentic, right? You want to be authentic and say, "Hey, we really are."
That's correct.
Yeah, we really.
Yeah, I mean, if you start this and you're not authentic, so it's just seen like a PR, and not some not so you're not seen like somebody who actually support, truly believe in the cause, but you're just spending money, to improve your publicity, your image, and that's it.
Yeah, what we find fascinating, and another another part of our business offering is we have what we call our strategic consulting practice, where we're actually working with corporations to help them, really craft the appropriate, what we would call cause ethos, cause persona for the company. And again, we start with this whole concept of authenticity. And one of the biggest components is to really do what we call social listening to all of your stakeholders, your employees, your customers, your partners, and really learning what it is that they believe you as a brand stand for today and should stand for. And I keep coming back to the concept of authenticity. One of the most shocking things to us when you look, and you mentioned CSR, every corporation, large brand, every year in their annual report has a CSR philanthropy report in
Hmm.
in their corporate results. Try to find it. It is buried back on page 40. And what we tell brands is, like, you need to make this, front and center of who you are. Bring it out there. Tell people this is who we are. This is what we're doing. This is how we support it. This is how our customers, our employees, our partners are helping us. And by the way, these are the results we're providing for the causes that we support. So, again, that's what, when you look at CSR, you need to make that front and center. It's not just about the numbers. And yes, the numbers, revenue and profit and all of those are important. But what are you doing to help serve the communities, where you reside? So, that's what we really see as a really important step for CSR organizations to really grow, what the brand stands for and who they are and how the public perceives them.
Greg, so to wrap up our conversation, I have the last question about the future landscape of loyalty marketing. So what do you think? Which approach do you believe will prevail in the long run? So, whether like some more traditional programs or maybe some emerging alternatives, like you mentioned today.
We're seeing a transition. We always talk about loyalty marketing as the place to start with your giving, because it's where your best customers, your most engaged customers, reside. What we're starting to see, is a combination, a hybrid of, do I want to be the company, the brand that allows just donation of my currency, or do I want to combine it with the donation of CSR dollars, through my loyalty program members? And one of the programs we point to as the gold standard is the Target program. They do an amazing job. Kroger is another company that does an amazing job, as well as PetSmart. So we look at companies like that. So I would really, encourage your listeners to go check out those programs to see what they're doing. But it's really a combination of using your loyalty currency with your loyalty customers and your CSR dollars to really drive meaningful engagement and to drive meaningful impact, through those programs. So that's what we're seeing is sort of a hybrid program of CSR loyalty and really true customer engagement giving.
Yeah, so my personal belief is actually that donations and charity must be a part of your personal financial health, because you earn money, you get rid of your debt, you save, you invest, and for sure you must give back and donate. And to donate cautiously, you need to have a right technology of giving in place. And Greg, so thank you very much for this purpose-driven conversation today.
Vasil, thanks very much. Really appreciated you having us and really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, and I love your point on be authentic and for sure listen to your employees, your customers to identify the real cause that they support. And also to all the fintech leaders and builders who listen us today, big thank you for joining us today for this Purpose Tech episode of God's Grit and the FinTech. And I encourage everyone to share your experience dealing with technology-driven loyalty programs and technology of giving in comments down below this video. And certainly like this video, subscribe to our channel. So this will help us to spread the word, and you know with whom you should share this video. And it was me, Vasil Solashuk from INSART, and Gregg O'Neill from IMPACT. And let's keep building fintech and the brighter financial future together. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Still watching us and have not subscribed yet? Let's fix this. Also, don't forget to like this video and take a look at the other episodes we have. See ya!